Mr. Henderson, I'm chair of the 5F Commission, and welcome to everyone who's here. We will start with roll call. If the vice chair could please call the roll.
All right, Commissioner Anderson is present. Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
Here.
Commissioner Galvin.
Here.
Commissioner Hurst.
Here.
Commissioner Pinckney. Present. Commissioner Sani.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
We're all present.
All right, we have quorum. Our next item is public comment of up to 2 minutes per speaker. And this is where any member of the public can address the commission on any topic that they so choose. And if you're online, I guess raise your hand. We'll call on you. And then if you're here, just I guess also raise your hand and we'll call on you. Sir, did you want to repeat what you were saying before the meeting started?
Yeah. Introduce yourself, please. My name is Reginald Harris. I live in this area. I live on one block over on Quanwood Terrace. My concern is about the safety in this area. We get the speed humps in this area. I've been living around here ever since the 60s. So my concern, and I told you earlier, me and Mr. Franklin, he's here, and where that he did the paperwork, and he asked me that when you take up the petition. So I got 44 people to sign a petition in my neighborhood last year to get the speed bumps in this area. That was my concern about safety. Right by Lincoln Road, and not too far from school, not too far from Douglas, from Shade School by Lincoln Road, because they're doing a lot of speeding through the stop sign. They don't stop for the people, the kids and parents walking the crosswalk. This is early in the morning. This every day. This is not just one particular day. It's every day, from early in the morning to during the evening time, nighttime, daytime, anytime. We see this all the time. They run the stop sign. They don't deal to the people in the crosswalk, the pedestrian. So, like I say, I've been living around this area ever since the 60s. And I do thank Mr. Frank for working with me to get the speed bumps out in this area for safety for everyone. That's my concern. And one is that what can y'all do for the safety in this area for everyone? So that's my concern, me and Mr. Frank concerned about the safety in this area. So me and Mr. Frank, we can communicate off and on. He called me and I call him. I find out what's going on, what needs to be done. And so this is my concern about safety for everyone. Now, if you have a suggestion that you can help us, everyone in this community, and tell me what can we do to speed up, to get the speed humps in this area. Douglas Street got this because of school. Shannon got this quick in a hurry. Why did it take so long for us to get the speed bumps in this area by the park by Lincoln Road?
On 2nd Street.
On 2nd Street, yes. And this is my concern. So for safety for everyone, and I hope, thank God, we will get this work together to get this done. Now, who can y'all? DVOT is involved, I understand. What can y'all do to make it safe by putting these speed bumps in this area? Or tell me, what can we do together?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So actually there's a hand raised online. And I think Commissioner Sani was saying we should have the audio come through the phone.
Yes.
So I'll do that. Yeah. Michelle Keegan, if you could unmute yourself, and you have 2 minutes.
Great, thanks. My question is, a lot of public trash cans are being removed. In the past few weeks, 2 of them have been removed within a half a block of my house, and trash is overflowing in the streets worse than it was before. And so I'm wondering, one, what is the process for a trash can getting removed? Is there public comment about it? And I think the more effective way to deal with trash is to have them emptied more frequently, as I know in some other neighborhoods in the city, do get their public trash cans emptied more often, rather than removing them and having so much trash in our streets and yards. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I'll mute myself.
Thank you. There will be a chance for a response in a moment. Any other public comments? Yes, sir.
How you doing? Frank Diego, not to echo my name here. There's a lot, but just to repeat, so with the speed humps on 2nd Street between Douglas and Channing, and I've talked to Commissioner Galvin, right, about this too. So just to repeat, I've mailed in physically a copy of the petition. I've also attached to 311 request. It was submitted on this is July 18th. It was closed and it said should have been resolved by January 18th. I talked to a lady at DDOT and they said something will happen. They can't tell me what will happen. They said, they're paving sometimes in the winter, but they can't tell me, because of the weather, they, usually don't pave when the temperature is below certain times. So something may happen, may not happen. So understand, like, possibly during the next ANC meeting, we possibly have a resolution to vote on having a petition for some type of traffic calming on 2nd Street between Lincoln Road and Channing, because there's a lot of traffic going from Lincoln Road, which is like a subarterial where they cut through, through that area there. It's just, it's all you have to do is sit there for any short amount of period and see the cars that go through that area, and it's dangerous. And it is a school zone there, and I have a daughter. Anybody who has children go to school there can see the issue there with people cutting through the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Coughlin, you're recognized for 2 minutes if you can unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi, thank you.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Melissa Coughlin. I live at 4th and Adams Street Northeast, and I'm probably sound like a broken record from the Civic Association meeting last night, but I think I share a very common sentiment about concern over the drug traffic at the Edgewood Liquor Store, the BP gas station, and that like Sun Market strip mall. The police, whenever we've interacted with them, kind of give the same, not flippant comment as last night, but like, oh, not a big deal, whatever. But there's non-contact shootings all the time. It's a matter of time before a bullet comes flying through my window. It's really a problem. The folks also come trespass on our property. We've had multiple break-ins with thousands and thousands of dollars worth of theft from our parking garage, and it's all the same people who hang out there until 2 o'clock in the morning, which no liquor store needs to be open that late. So I was just hoping that the ANC could maybe make it a priority, or if we could form like a task force to kind of compel the properties. Somebody one time referred to processes that we need to undergo to file them as nuisance properties, but just something needs to happen. It's just there's just a lot of crime other than drug, like hand-to-hand selling. That is happening there, and it would be great to crack down on it, whether it's compelling the properties and the BP gas station gets more foot traffic and car traffic in there in the middle of the night than it does during the day. So that's very telling, I think. So yeah, sorry, just griping, but hoping that can be a priority for the fresh faces on this ANC. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, that'll conclude public comments. Now is the next item, which is number 3, response to public comment of any commissioner that wants to address any of the items that we raised. Commissioner Galvan.
Yeah, I'll start and first say thanks for showing up today and bringing your concerns to the commission. I have had several interactions with DDOT on a few of these issues with respect to Douglas and 2nd Street and Channing along that area. I'd heard in my door knocking that there was plans for some work right at that corner. I have asked DDOT a couple times about what the plan is for that. I have not heard it. I again asked again on Sunday. to see what the plan is. I did submit another 311 request and requested DDOT also respond to the old 311 request that was closed out but not responded to. So I've also worked on submitting in the budget for additional resources to DDOT to do these speed bumps around, because I think they are a great way to force drivers to be accountable for their actions and slow down at different intersections. Raised crosswalks are also a really good option, and reducing the distance between the two intersections, edge of the intersection, so that it's a shorter crosswalk. I'd love to see a one-way maybe at that location, one-way going out, not a one-way going into the neighborhood, to help reduce that kind of speeding off of Lincoln Road. But I know that that's a larger project that may take some time. So I'd like to say we're actively working with it. I know that some other commissioners have testified at the DDOT testimony, and I'll let them speak to that. With respect to Melissa's comment on that location at 4th Street, I've heard that concern from other folks as well. I think some people would argue that it's also due to some of the alcohol licenses that are, I think there are at least 3 liquor stores right at that location. And there is an ABRA committee that the commission is picking up on shortly, and we encourage folks to get involved, as that could be a potential option to assist with that. But I hear you, we need to get MPD involved and engaged, and I'm sure I've given up all my time, but we're working on it, and I hope we'll get resolution shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Gavon. Any other commissioner wish to, Commissioner Pinckney?
Yes, trash cans. Trash cans are being removed throughout the city. It's not just Eckington, because residents are putting their personal trash into the public trash cans, which cause a very large issue. They are always fully stuffed. Nobody else can put trash from the street in it, so that's a problem. The second problem is the homeless come along and they rifle through the trash cans and throw all the trash out. And some of them, when they can't find what they want, they just turn the trash can over out into the street. So those are 2 of the issues. And you don't need a 30-day, we don't get 30-day notices to add or to remove a public trash can.
Commissioner Sani?
Yes, speaking to 2 points. First is, and I'll touch on this in my announcement section at the end as well. The first is around traffic calming measures. We've heard from all of our neighbors over the course of not only the election, but just email. I've gotten a lot of comments and concerns from my constituents over in 5FO2. And we are actively tracking how to best engage DDOT. They recently changed their process for filing these 311 requests from TSI-1 to TSI-2. In my personal opinion, it's given less weight to the voices of the community, and now DDOT has gotten a lot more ability to control how it flows. We're still exploring how to best engage it as a commission, but rest assured, this is something that we actively, this is one of our highest concerns, because we've heard your concern is important. We've heard it from everyone, and we want to make this happen. So if it turns into, well, we just need to file a bunch of resolutions in support of these projects, I think work with your commissioner, and we will try and do those things. And I'm speaking for myself, but I think I know the heart of everyone at this table. On the subject of trash cans, I do know, as Commissioner Pinckney said, yeah, right now they're not obligated to tell us anything. I do know that there is some council resolution. I think Commissioner Lewis George is pushing it.
Council member.
Sorry. To require that DPW provide notice if they want to do one of these actions of taking away a trash can. So I know if that is something of interest to you, please reach out to your council member, in this case, Councilmember Parker, or
Who co-sponsored that.
Who co-sponsored it. So he's in support, but it always helps to have resident voices included in these processes to help get the vote of those who may be on the fence about supporting such a bill. Additionally, the at-large council members who represent us all, those are also good people to reach out to, Councilman McDuffie and Councilmember Bonds. Yeah, so those are actions we can take immediately, but please stay engaged. This is our second general meeting, and this is our first one, I think, where we're really like starting to hit our stride. So please continue to work with us, and we're gonna try and work with you.
Can add some, oh, go ahead.
We'll do a second round.
Mhm.
Commissioner Anderson.
So I want to echo the comments about traffic safety, and I think we've heard from residents about, we do need to increase the need for traffic calming measures, but also for enforcement. So hearing that message loud and clear. I also wanted to add on that point that was raised about public safety. I'm sure this will come up again in other points during our meeting, but we're hearing increasing concerns about public safety from the community. I know that Councilmember Parker had a meeting tonight, but we are also planning on having one at the ANC 5F level. So if you are interested in specific topics that you'd like addressed or specific questions you'd like addressed, please let us know. Commissioner Galvin is kind of running point on putting that together, but we're hoping to put that together soon.
Thank you. Other commissioners? All right, Commissioner Pinckney.
Yes, I am told, I can't swear on this, that that DDOT has started reprioritizing quarterly all of their projects. So if you think about this, a speed hump would be at the bottom, even to start off with. So if they are going to reprioritize everything every quarter, it may be a while.
Thank you. I think we got like 20 seconds left, and I will just add on the trash can elements. When I moved to the north part of Eckington where I lived, there was a trash can on every corner. And now I think all the way from Rhode Island to T, which is 4 blocks, I think there's 2 altogether. And, I'm hesitant to even say it out loud because DPW may be like, oh, there's still 2, we better go get them. So we do have a resolution tonight, 14K from Commissioner Galvin that I've co-sponsored that supports Councilmember Parker's request that we reverse this at least on the arterials like Rhode Island Avenue. We're also very lucky that a big part of our district is in the NOMA bid district, which believes that there should be more trash cans, not fewer trash cans, where you're investing in the city. And I'm hopeful that as a commission, we can find a way to explain to DPW that their current path is not a constructive one.
And I would like to add that DPW isn't just taking all of these trash cans. People are calling in requesting that they take them also off their corner. They don't want the rats jumping in and out of the trash can on the corners or at the bus stops. So that's twofold.
I think that ends response to public comment. Thank you, everybody. I know it's not the easiest thing in the world to stand up in front of a big group of people and say stuff, and we do appreciate the input. And certainly feel free to reach out to your commissioner or any of the commissioners on any of the topics that we've talked about. The next item is approval of the agenda. As required by rules, I circulated a week ago a draft agenda, which you have in front of you, and welcome amendments or changes to it at this time. And I actually will take the first one, and it's an error on my part, to add under other reports or presentations, the Office of Campaign Finance to present on traditional and public financing and fair election programs. This is something they reached out to us on January, and I said yes. And then a month later, putting together the agenda, fell to the bottom of the inbox, and I had neglected to improve it. So I'd like to add it as 14A and reletter the other items as B through E. So I'd welcome a second on that amendment.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Is there objection to that amendment? Seeing none, that is amended. Are there other amendments?
I propose that we,
Commissioner Anderson.
I propose that we bypass committee and task force updates, seeing as we don't have them established yet, but we can give an update on appointments and how that's going. Announcements.
I don't think that, that may not necessarily require amending the agenda. We can just zoom through those.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Even better.
Other amendments? Seeing none, I will move the agenda be adopted as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the agenda is adopted and we are rolling. Next item is referral of items to committees. As Commissioner Anderson just noted, we do not yet have set up any of our committees, so I'm sorry, did I skip officer reports? Oh, no, we're not there yet. Yeah, sorry. I have officer reports as 7.
I have 7. Yeah.
Okay. we're
Oh,
at
5. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
So if I referred anything to a committee, it would be the equivalent of killing it, and so I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna, unless anybody really wants me to, I'm gonna skip that and go to item 6, which is the approval of the minutes of the last meeting. Commissioner Galvan.
Thank you, Commissioner Bishop Henchman. So the minutes were distributed to the group on February 4th. We tried to do it the night of, so it's all clear. I sent it around to the commissioners, and then it's posted about a week later after everyone's had a chance to take a look at it. On top of that, there's also an executive summary I try to do, since the minutes can be quite long, and that takes a little bit longer. But for this, I just like to motion to approve the January 31st commission meeting minutes as posted on the website.
Commissioner Galvan has moved to adopt the minutes, or approve the minutes, excuse me, as posted. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Anderson. Is there any objection? Seeing none, they are approved. Officer reports. All right, here we are. I go first, and I'm going to be very brief. There's a lot I could say, but I'll save it for announcements at the very end, so everybody else gets to talk before I say anything. But I will say that we have applied for well, let me give the spiel that I always give. ANC 5F is a brand new commission, and as a brand new commission, we started January 1st with nothing in the bank, no bank account, no anything. And so you may notice we're still a little jerry-rigged on the technical aspect of things, and I do ask that you bear with us on it. I am pleased that the commission authorized us to apply for a supplemental technical assistance grant from the OANC to assist our ability to do hybrid meetings, and that grant was approved. And we are now in the process of procuring that equipment. It has arrived, but not been cataloged by the city yet, inventory controlled. So my hope is by our March meeting, we'll have all of this equipment. Right now, it's kind of everything we have personal from our personal stuff that we're using. No, we're very happy about that. And it is my understanding that ANC 5F is one of the few commissions in the city that is meeting hybrid, both in person and virtual. So we are trendsetters, because unless something changes in council legislation, all commissions will have to resume in-person meetings at some point later this year. And hopefully we can tell them how to do it, or how not to do it, or as the case may be. So I just want to express my appreciation to the commission for authorizing us to apply for that grant, and we're going to certainly use it very well. With that, I'll yield the rest of my time. Commissioner Anderson, Vice Chair.
I will make this very brief. My big announcement, we have everyone's attention, is that we are recruiting members for committees. So if there are particular areas that interest you, the link to sign up is in the agenda that was distributed. We can also get you a hard copy if you prefer. There has been a lot of interest in the library task force and transportation, which is excellent news, but we're still looking for folks, particularly for alcohol licensing, public safety, and for zoning. So if those areas interest you, please, I would encourage you to sign up. I yield the rest of my time.
Yeah. And thank you to the 16 people who've already applied. We're gonna please send more applications in. Treasurer Commissioner Hurst. You also have great news.
I do, yeah. So to give a treasurer report, we now have a bank account. We have also had our first allotment approved, which should arrive in our bank account, so it won't have a zero balance within the next 10 to 15 days, at which point we'll be able to try and get an ANC checkbook to cover expenses and be able to further move forward on things that we need to do. But we started with zero and we still have $0 at this point. So that's the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Did you have anything further?
No.
Okay, thank you. Secretary's report, Commissioner Galvan.
Mine's very, very easy. Whenever I finish the draft, it's usually a week or two after the meeting of the meeting minutes. It's posted on the website. We post all of our information on the website, whether it's documentation from the resolutions that we've passed, the signed pieces, the draft information that we try to, get up there as soon as we can prior to the meeting. So I just encourage folks to go to anc5f.com to view any of that stuff ahead of time so that you can let us know what your thoughts are before either before the meeting starts or during the meeting. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Galvan. That concludes officer reports. The next item is number 8, committee and task force updates. Since our first 4 here have not been populated, I'm going to skip through them and go to the task force and outreach. Commissioner Sonic. 5 minutes.
Yes, I am Commissioner Sani. I am chair of the Outreach Task Force. We've been hard at work trying to procure the equipment we need for hybrid meetings. Thanks to Chair Bishop Henchman for helping us get the application together. We are going to work on improving the simulcast experience for not only those in the room, but those who are attending virtually, as it is very important for people to be involved in their local government. On top of that, we have now started focusing on what we're calling the next phase of the outreach effort, which is to really work on improving the content and presentation of information on our website. What we have right now is something we put up within a couple hours so we could meet our legal requirement for meetings, but we definitely want to continue to make this a resource for the community. As we start bringing up committees, we have started talking about what that means for providing them the resources they need to succeed, be it access to printing or like Zoom, for example, to have video conferences so they don't have to physically meet, maybe to communicate with each other. But yeah, we are going to be moving forward in those next phases soon. So if you have any thoughts on that, please reach out to me or one of the other outreach task force members, Commissioner Anderson or Commissioner Galvan, and we'd love to hear from you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Commissioner Sani. And library task force not been populated yet. I don't think we didn't last week. Okay, yeah. That concludes committee and task force updates. Moving next to item 9, presentations relating to agenda items. We have 2, and I'll first recognize Jason Gerson from the Eckington Civic Association and Shoshana Summer from Eckington Park and Arts. You're now recognized for 5 minutes.
For the benefit of everyone.
Pass you the mic. Okay. Great. So I'm Shoshana Summer. I'm a resident of Northern Eckington, and I'm president of Eckington Parks and Arts. Full disclosure, I'm also on the board of Green Spaces for DC, as well as on the DC Mayor's Urban Forestry Advisory Council. So all things green. So I'm here with Jason. I'll turn it over to him after, from Eckington Civic Association, and wanted to bring up that we put together and signed a letter on February 3rd of this month and sent it to council members Alan and Zachary Parker, as well as the deputy mayor, in regards to improvements to the Metropolitan Branch Trail. So these improvements, see if I can juggle 2 phones, include replacing eroded stone and chain link fence between Alethea Tanner Park and the Florida Avenue Bridge with a retaining wall that also widens the trail, building a staircase from the trail up to New York Avenue, improving drainage under the New York Avenue Bridge to resolve safety concerns, replacing in-wall light fixtures in the NOMA area, performing slope erosion mitigation measures for the stairs at the L Street entrance to the MBT, providing a safe pedestrian connection to the trail at T Street Northeast, as well as providing a safe pedestrian and bicycle connection to the trail at W Street Northeast, adding bollards and replacing concrete planters at all access points to the trail along its length, but especially focusing on sections through Eckington, which have dealt with motorized vehicles driving onto the trail. Additionally, adding signage to hopefully discourage motorcycle and moped use on the trail, which is not allowed. Installing trail caution signage to the north and south of Alethea Tanner Park to improve safety for trail users. Supporting DDOT and DOEE and planting trees and native plants from NOMA through Edgewood to improve shade on the trail and assist with air quality and sound buffering. Install several pest-proof public litter and recycling cans along the MBT between NOMA and Edgewood, especially in the industrial stretch again through Eckington, where litter is an ongoing issue and litter cans were removed. Where space exists, potentially adding in several basic workout stations to encourage teens and adults to increase engagement in recreation, healthy activity, and engagement along the entire length of the MBT through our area. Generate strategic continuations of the MBT to improve safety and usability in certain locations that were identified, and install additional water fountains, as well as potentially public restrooms at reasonable intervals along the length of the trail. So all of these items were included in this letter to benefit our community, both for engagement, making this more of a beneficial linear greenway. It is a highly used resource at this time for commuting and for recreation. And we do not have a lot of green spaces of this kind in our area, and we're hoping to improve this and make it a greater opportunity. And this letter was also created in coordination with NOMA Bid, and they sent a separate letter on their behalf to similar representatives. And it was signed by, again, ECA, EPNA, and on a personal basis by 3 ANC commissioners, but not by the entire commission. Is there anything?
I really appreciate all the work that Eckington Parks and Arts has done as well. I'm speaking Jason Gerson on behalf of the Eckington Civic Association. We also support these efforts and encourage you all to please vote in favor of the resolution being submitted on this topic tonight. And we will be voting as a body on our own resolution to provide to Councilmember Parker on the same topic shortly. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone? Seeing none, thank you. The next presentation we have is Simon Gallat. I'm sorry if I'm doing that wrong. Gallat, sorry, on the Eckington Green Park project. 5 minutes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I want to thank the commissioners. Thanks everyone for your time. I know that these meetings sometimes run long, so I will be brief. I'd like to say a special thanks to Sylvia, who was my my ANC. I don't talk to you as much anymore. and now Jen, who's my current ANC. I'm a resident of the northern part of Eckington, and what I'm here for at a fundamental level is to ask for your support, the community, and ask commissioners for your support in trying to ultimately help our neighborhood, our community establish a new public park in Eckington. So why? I don't know. Why do we need a new park? Well, is in terms of policy, in terms of what the city says, the DC comprehensive plan is very specific, and it specifically states that the district has policy is to look for opportunities for new parks and green space in the Eckington neighborhood. It's actually in the DC comprehensive plan. So it's like it's the city's responsibility to at least try to do this. The second thing is, when you look at the city, housing is a priority and it's terrific. And it's great. And it's at the same time in this area in Eckington, Edgewood, the housing increase is really putting a wonderful life back into the city. On my block alone, where this alley lot is, the population by my own count has increased 5-fold between condo pop-ups and new families in the last 10 years. I moved in about 11 years ago. And so there's a need for green space. There's a need for community recreational space, not just in Eckington, in Edgewood. There's another spot where a community group is trying to do the exact same thing. So I'll stop there and go into a little bit of history about the Eckington lot. If you're familiar with Yang's Market, there's a lot behind Yang's. It's a very small triangular space, but it's a big open space in the back because the alleys are fairly wide. And I think it was 7 years ago that I first asked Sylvia about this, say, hey, what is going on back here? It would be great to turn this into to green space and a park. And the advice I got, first people I talked to were the people at Crispus Attucks, and they said, local, start local, talk to people on your block. And that's exactly what I've been doing. And other community members have been doing for the last 6 or 7 years, just saying, hey, we can do this. We can make this happen. Let's try to do this. In 2020, ANC 5E put forth a resolution to request that the lot be acquired by the city. So there's a long history of community engagement there. But how do we do this? Well, ultimately, it takes money, right? I mean, somebody owns that piece of land and somebody wants to build there, or they want to leave it a garbage dump, or whatever they want to do with it. The land has value. And so as a little bit of background, the land has value, and it has a lot of value. The reason it has a lot of value is because in 2020, the district made it much more advantageous for developers to build on alley lots. In fact, it's easier and more advantageous to build on an alley lot than it is on your regular lot at home, because you can cover 90% of the land and you can build up right to the lot line. And that was the city that made that change. So money, it's not going to be cheap, but we have a willing partner, a developer who's willing to engage with us, but we need to make it clear that we're serious and that this is a possibility. Lastly, how to do it. There are mechanisms to do this. The city has done this. The city spent over $55 million giving money to Noma Bid to create parks throughout Noma. The city is spending $1 million alone just to study the deck over of North Capitol to create a park there. Estimates are that a park there would cost $40 to $50 million. So what I'm here to ask for today is a resolution not just supporting Councilmember Parker and his team and putting forth a recommendation for a city program. I'm asking for something local and something that can be additive to Councilmember Parker and the request that he made, which you might be aware of. And I'll stop there. I'm happy to provide any additional information, background, other things, and take any questions either from community or others.
Thank you. Let me ask Commissioners first. Any questions or comments from any commissioner?
I'm all for it because we've been working on this for years.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry, sir. Go ahead, Sam.
No, you're fine. Sorry, you said it already. What is the address?
What's that?
The address of this alley?
So that's as anything with these alley lots, it's a tricky question. It's got a temporary address. It's behind Yang's Market. There's a triangle between Rhode Island, Summit, and U Street. And so there's and for our sake, I would also put a pitch for Edgewood. Edgewood, they're trying to do the same thing. At some point, they will probably have to either get what they can or seek additional funding. But we are, time for us is of the essence. We have to show the owner of the lot that this might be a reality, so that he can hold off. He wants to build, a single family dwelling with a fenced off luxury housing. And that's the other thing with the housing angle. This is one unit, this is one unit, whereas on the block, condos can go up. So this is not an anti-housing thing. This is a pro community and green space. Yeah.
How would you describe it being used right now?
I mean, right.
Or whatever they want to use.
Yeah, it's basically a construction dump right now. There's lead paint. There's there's barbed wire. There's a fence that actually collapsed into the alley and into public space. They pushed it back and fixed it. But right now it's basically a construction dump. It's very small, 1,500 square feet. I think the community should decide ultimately. And you know, that we've sought input from people on the block, and there's a lot of different ideas. But I think, yeah, I think ultimately a public space. I think the corollary might be a smaller sister, a little sister to Christmas attics. Is at least that's what a lot of people are saying.
The property, is it either 2002 or 2000 Summit Place?
The temporary address is
Rear Summit.
yeah, it's rear Summit Place 20. I can't remember it.
Right, but the address is either 2000 or 2001. It's on the corner. The house right on the corner.
Yeah,
It's
20.
right.
I think it's 2022 rear
Okay, 22.
Summit
Okay.
Place. Yeah, something like that.
That was an issue where it had to be assigned an address and they assigned it rear Summit Place.
Yeah.
Woe to, if it gets built, woe to the person who lives there, they're not gonna get their packages.
That is true.
Any further questions or comments?
If I could make a shameless plug, seeing that we are the Department of Parks and Recreation, and we tend to, you know, I don't know, we do some parking stuff, stuff with parks. There is a document that we're creating called the Ready to Play Plan. Go online, take a look at it, see if where Eckington lies within the priority areas. So if we have anything in there that might help you, because I've gotten maybe 3 or 4 different requests from various well-meaning and wonderful groups wanting us to suddenly get a transfer of jurisdiction because then we build the park. So acquiring the park is a great step, but then we have to figure out how we'd activate it. But please take a look at Ready to Play. And I don't want to dissuade you because it's very exciting. We need more green space.
Thank you.
And we need more inventory in our parks. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson, you want to close this out on this item?
Yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you to Simon for kind of leading this effort. I know that a lot of the neighbors in that area are really excited about this, and I know it's faced a lot of challenges. So thank you for pushing this forward. I'll save a lot of my comments because there is a resolution coming up later, and I'll make a friendly amendment to that resolution before it's passed. Yeah, I also want to add on to the point where, you know, I'm pro housing, and I think a lot of the neighbors on that block are pro housing as well, but we also want to balance creating more green spaces in an area, in a neighborhood that wants more green spaces.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Thank you, Simon.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes presentations relating to agenda items. The next item on number 10 is more public comment, which we're kind of in already. So if looking ahead at the agenda items or the presentations, if any member of the public who's either here in person or online wants to again address, or if you hadn't, you don't have to have addressed before, but if you'd like to address the commission on any of the topics we'll be considering tonight, we'd love to hear from you. Up to 2 minutes per speaker. And while we're waiting for anybody to raise their hand on that item, I did not bring my Post-its today. I apologize for that. But if you want to either send me a slip of paper or anything, commissioners, on any items you want pulled from the consent agenda, we can start doing that while we hear from any public comments. Which maybe we don't have any. All right. Not seeing anyone online either. Going once. Oh, got one.
There's one.
Melissa Coughlin, I'll recognize you for 2 minutes.
Hi, sorry. Is this the opportunity to ask a question about the presentation just made or just future ones?
You can ask anything you want right now. So go right ahead.
Thanks. So for the person who presented about the MBT, are there any plans to add like safety phones, kind of like those blue light phones that are on college campuses along the trail for anyone having a safety or health emergency who doesn't carry their cell phone with them on the trail? And then for the person who just commented about the pocket park, we have an actually good community park that we just created, not just created, but between 4th and 3rd Street and between Bryant and Channing. It's just like we took an old parking space that was full of drug addicts and turned it into a fun little community space with a fire pit and a playground and stuff like that. So I definitely invite you to come by and see how we have used that space. So I'll be quiet now. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Coughlin. Ms. Summer, I don't know if you want to address that question.
Sure. So
On the
The-
blue light safety phone.
Yep, on the blue light safety phones. It's definitely a very interesting idea. It's actually the first time that that has been brought up to us at Eckington Parks and Arts. And I definitely think it's something worth considering, certainly with increased usage of the trail. Safety has improved dramatically in the past 5 to 10 years, certainly since I've been in the area. But it's definitely an interesting idea. That was not in our letter. It doesn't mean that, you know, it couldn't be done down the road. So that's something that I will certainly keep in mind for our future proposals. I'm not sure how that would affect what's happening today, but it's, you know, definitely something that could be a benefit to users of the MBT.
It's the 8th Street gap.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Summer. And then Simon, I don't know whether you wanted to address Ms. Coughlin raised that there's a new community space between 4th and 3rd on Bryant, and whether you'd be interested in learning more about how they did that and maybe partnering efforts.
Oh, I think I'm intimately familiar with the effort. It's basically, the thing about it, it's a wholly different situation because our situation, ours in North Eckington, it's a single lot. My understanding is the situation in Edgewood is a bunch of different small lots, used to be parking spaces or even garages that are now owned by a multitude of different people. A couple of them are even owned by HUD, you know, so it's like, it's more of a puzzle than.
He's away from the microphone, but he's explaining that the Eckington space, it's one lot, whereas the Edgewood space, it's multiple lots. And so it presents different challenges,
Yeah,
but he is familiar and.
I will say the Edgewood group is a little further along because they actually have some of the property. They've actually already began the process of incorporating as an organization under DC Green Spaces as an affiliate. So they, you know, they're in a different situation. So they're a little bit further along because they have a stake in the ground, so to speak.
All right, thank you. Other public comments?
I mean,
Ms. Summer. Yes.
I just wanted to mention that we've also been looking into conservation easements that play into the resolution on pocket parks. And we requested in an Eckington Parks and Arts letter for funding for the conservation easement program through KC Trees, which could help with both some of what you guys are doing with these parks and also potentially private properties in the area. For instance, we only have one little section left in Eckington that actually is still considered like a natural forest area, and it's just the back of some privately owned long lots that are off 2nd Street. So other than that, we have zero kind of natural forested area, and that's different from most other neighborhoods and wards. So there are opportunities for funding of these things, also some potentially as public parks, but also just even privately owned property where the owners, essentially say, well, we won't develop this, we'll leave this natural so that we can all reap the benefits of cleaner air and everything that goes along with mature trees, so and understory. So just wanted to mention that ties in as well.
Thank you, Ms. Summer. Any other public comments?
You got an answer?
Oh, yes, sir.
Are they planning to increase the police safety in this area for this whole area of Ward 5? Or because I know Ward 7, Ward 8, they get better attention over in Ward 7 and Ward 8 in Southeast, but we don't get no attention in this ward right here. You know, like I grew up around this area from 4th Parole Avenue in this whole area. We see the police, they drive through here, but they don't sit in the community. A long time ago, back in the 60s, the police would do foot patrol and they get out and talk with the people in the community. Because I remember back in the 60s, that's what police were doing then. And now you see police in the squad car, they don't get out. We need police doing foot patrol, and so people in the community can communicate with police on the foot patrol. And one time you see the police on horseback in this area one time, and so Then I remember when Mary Berry was mayor of the city, when police were short, he called in the National Guard to back up the police in DC. And now we don't have enough police to cover all the areas in DC. So what the mayor or the police or the city council plan to do, increase the police in that area. So the crime's going up. This is a nation capital of crime. And the thing is, it's about safety. And are they going to hire more police officers? Or like I said, when Mary Berry was mayor at the time, he went to Congress or whoever he talked to at the time when he was living, that he had to call in the National Guard to help the police back around the 90s, around the 90s. Well, anyway, that now, we are short on police. What can the mayor of the city, of the city council, of the police chief, and everybody can pull together? We need more police, and they're showing on help. And this is why the crime is going up. We see this every day on the news. What are they planning to do to increase the police in that area? They got to be a solution,
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to let that just lay there. So if I could,
Yeah.
maybe this is not an answer, but we're expecting the mayor's budget on March 22nd or 24th, around there. And it's kind of an open secret that there's going to be some kind of public safety initiative in that budget. And I don't know what it is. Mayor knows what it is, and she'll tell everybody by then. And so like if you have confidence in ideas that should be included in that, I would say reach out to the mayor's office and her staff in order to get that information to them.
Excuse me, I called the mayor's office sometime last week before, and nobody returned my call.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And and the thing, even back then, the police were called in to help the Metropolitan Police in the area back around the 90s. And so what we talk about still about safety. We talk about safety for everyone. I hear on the news now Metro is going to increase their patrol with the Metropolitan Police.
Right.
So I mean, what is the plan to do? What the chief plan to do?
I don't know the plan. I don't think, I think we could guess, but nobody knows, and we'll find out in a couple of weeks. And as Commissioner Galvan mentioned, we want to do a public safety forum where we bring in MPD and all of the other city entities involved in violence prevention and ask them these questions.
We would like to see the mayor also come to this meeting. And
Well,
the
I can't promise that. But
I know you can't promise that.
yeah.
She can be, listen to the people in the community. What's on her heart, what's on her
And I
mind.
am sorry that you're having trouble getting your message through. If Commissioner Galvan's your commissioner, which I think is the
Okay.
case, give him what you want forwarded on, and he will make sure that it gets to the right person. Commissioner Pinckney, did you raise your hand?
Thank you.
Or
I was going to say something because I'm not absolutely sure about this, but I think the mayor previously increased the MPD budget. They already have extra policemen, and that's why they can partner with the policemen on Metro, because they have extras that can do that. But I think she's already increased it. And I see policemen on bikes. I see them sitting in their car. Now, see, most people complain about that. They don't want them sitting in their cars. But they are in Eckington. I know that. I can't speak for Edgewood, but they are in Eckington.
But in this area, excuse me, ma'am, I see a police, they're driving their squad car. And one time you see them on scooters, but you don't see a lot of increase of police officers in this area. Like I say, back in the 60s, they were walking on beat and talking with people in the community. I remember that.
I can only tell you there's people in the room that agree with you and share your frustration.
Yeah,
And
I'm not
and
frustrated,
we'll-
just the thing is being concerned
Yeah.
about safety for everyone. This is what the meeting's about. Everybody have something they want to say. But you know, you can walk the walk, but you got to talk the talk.
couldn't put it better than that. Any further public comment? Mr. Bonner from Councilmember Parker's office.
I just want to jump in there. I also
And
realize
Eckington.
I'm not sure if I'm on the agenda. So I don't know.
We thought you were gonna be at a different meeting, so,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
public safety meeting
Yeah.
that was scheduled over this particular meeting.
That's why I'm here.
yeah. Well, we're glad to have you.
Glad to have you.
You can take 2 minutes plus right now.
Yeah,
So,
I just wanted to quickly respond. It is not a budget issue. The DC council and the mayor, I don't know who you want to give credit to, but it's a pipeline issue in terms of why there is not, why they can't hire police officers right now. That's the real issue in terms of the quantity. And I know also there's a lot of conversation specifically around what you're saying of how do we get police officers to do better work, right? Because a lot of it isn't what the evidence has shown from other places is what makes a police force effective is less just the number of officers and more what they're doing, how they're being coordinated. There is a comprehensive gun violence prevention and safety plan that's been out for I think a year or two now. That's supposed to be the North Star. Get the council that was made, that the council criminal justice coordinating council, something like that. That has it's a long plan, but it's a comprehensive plan. The devil's in the details with a lot of these things. So I think that it really ends up coming, you know, you can move money and it seems like the money's been moved. You can add new programs and we've made a bunch of great programs, but actually having them all work together, I think is the main issue right now.
I agree with you, Sam, too. Also, the thing is not about politics. You know, the thing is about.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure we're moving along,
Yeah,
but,
what
yeah.
you're saying is very true, but you know, it's not, I mean, I know it takes money to do things, to move mountains, you know, but also it takes the grace of God to bring people together like people are together tonight.
Yeah.
And with a lot of issues that everybody has.
And I'm glad you're here. You're
Yeah.
connected with Commissioner
Yeah.
Galvan, you're connected with,
Yeah, understand.
Mr. Bonner, so,
Okay,
all right,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no other hand, well, time's expired, I think, on public comment on agenda items. Thank you. Moving next to the consent agenda, I have received notes to remove item A on the budget, to remove item B on the MBT improvements, and to remove item J on community pocket parks. Are there any other items anybody wants to remove, any commissioner wants to remove from the consent agenda? Going once, going twice. All right, the chair moves the adoption of items C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, and L on the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Galvan. Hurst, I'm sorry, Commissioner Hurst, my apologies. And the vice chair will call the roll.
Commissioner Anderson, it's me, and I vote yes. Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
Aye.
Commissioner Galvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst.
Aye.
Commissioner Pinckney.
Aye.
Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Okay,
So we have a unanimous vote.
all right. Those items are adopted. Thank you all. So items A, B, and J have been moved to the action agenda and we'll now take those up. Starting with item A, resolution to adopt the 2023 budget. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Chair Bishop Henchman. So the reason I wanted to bring that off the consent agenda is as Commissioner Bishop Henchman mentioned, we were approved for an OANC technology grant, which means that we probably won't have to pass around phones anymore, thankfully. So I just wanted to make a quick amendment on the budget. So it actually puts us into a better position. So I won't go over every expenditure, but essentially we would have
end balance of $1,095 at the end of our initial funding. It's a kind of, at this point, we're kind of being looped in with Q2 funding anyway. So actually, I'll just say that by Q4, we'll end Q4 with 5,663 in our accounts. This does include a expenditure of a $5,000 grant program, which I know a lot of residents have been pushing for. I do think that having about $5,000 in reserves would be helpful since we are a new commission. We put this budget together consulting other ANC budgets, but we're not sure what other expenditures will come in our first year. So having around $5,000 in reserves, I think, would be a healthy way to make sure that we make it through the year and that we're able to kind of pivot if any unexpected expenditures come up.
So that's an amendment, I'm gathering.
Yeah, so that is an amendment that I'm proposing. Just on the specifics of the budget. Essentially, what would change is that the items on the proposed expenditures, kind of the line items, the ones that reference the OANC grant have been funded. So essentially, those would be taken off our overall budget expenditure.
So let me phrase it.
Yes.
Let me see if I phrase it and I'm getting it
Yes.
correct. Commissioner Anderson moves to strike the 6 items where there's an X under submitted for OANC tech grant question mark on the spreadsheet, which would then reduce item 4, office supplies, equipment and printing, by $1,333.45. And then all the other numbers would be adjusted accordingly based on that. Is that
Yes,
accurate?
that is accurate.
So Commissioner Anderson made that motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Galvan. Is there objection? Seeing none, that amendment is adopted. Back to you, Commissioner Anderson.
Okay, excellent. I have no further amendments on the budget.
You want to move the adoption?
I-
Oh, actually, let me.
Yep.
Does any other commissioner have any questions or amendments?
Question,
Commissioner Payne.
under office supplies, equipment and print. Exactly who can get funding to print? Only you and Commissioner Anderson, or can everybody
So under
join in?
So to address that, as part of our office supplies, equipment and printing, the line item that was proposed, or the line items related to that, are getting a commission printer, as well as equipment related to printing. So paper, ink, all those things cost a lot more money than you would think, especially when you have a large commission to serve. So that brings that category 4 expenditure down to, sorry, just about 1735 for the year. So to answer your question, that printing is available to all commissioners. With the caveat that it's for the purposes of serving the commission and the residents.
I heard the question slightly differently, so I guess I'll give an answer and let us know if we both answered it or either of us answered it. How do we do reimbursements is how I kind of heard that question.
No, that was.
Okay, so, okay.
Okay, if we are going to spend money on a printer and paper and all of this, where will it be stored? We don't have an office.
So we're looking to use one of the PUD spaces that we have, one in Edgewood, one in Eckington. And if that doesn't work out, then we will have to revisit so, I don't want to buy this thing until we resolve that question. That's an important question.
Okay, so we would have to come to that space to do any printing that we had to do.
Yes.
Okay,
Well, if you want to use the printer, I guess. So.
or to print, period, and have it paid for.
Well, do you still have that other line item on outreach or that?
So yes, I do. There is also an allotment of, I think, let me go 1 second. I have a quarterly allotment of $100 per commissioner because that was flex funding in case a commissioner wanted to supplement the line items that were dedicated to commissioning for the printing for the full commission. I think the issue was that when we thought about professional printing to cover the full commission, that ended up being a bit tight.
Thank you. I have a question unless you have more.
No,
Okay. My question is on grants where we have 5,000 in Q4. Is there a reason we are, I don't think this is a word, but end loading it rather than spreading it?
Yes. So, and open to suggestions from others. Again, this was kind of a draft I had put together based on input that was sent in my direction. So the idea was to have a launch grant program of about, and I had chosen $5,000 because it was about a fourth of the funding that we had been allocated for the year. And loading it because since it's our first time running a grant program, there are logistics that we need to get together to make sure that we are running a grant program that serves a full community. It'll take time to kind of put the logistics together to make sure that it's properly advertised, to vet applicants, which is realistically, I think it would take up till Q4 to implement that.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Other questions, comments on this?
I have a question.
Commissioner Williams.
Based on the supplies, the printing and everything, are you saying that we would have to copy the same thing to pass out to each ANC commissioner? One of them. Because everybody don't do the same thing in each SMD. So how is that a one price for the whole commissioners? This
So-
is what I'm not understanding.
Yeah, so.
Commissioner Anderson.
So I guess I'll preface that with, this is an estimate, correct? All budgets are estimates. And you're absolutely right that not every commissioner does outreach in their community at the same way. I think there is a little bit of a balance that we're trying to strike, because I think we've looked into this question whether a commission can reimburse for SMD specific activities. And I think there has been some, and if anyone wants to speak to this point, please do, on whether how much we can reimburse for SMD specific outreach versus commission broad outreach. So that's why this was a way to kind of economize, make sure that we're using our tax dollars effectively, of trying to like be as lean as possible, but making sure that we still have resources allocated for hard copy materials, because that is a preference. And in the volunteer form that was sent around, one of the questions I was asked was if people would be willing to volunteer to help distribute materials. We have actually had a couple of people who would like to help assemble and distribute. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Other commissioners?
Yeah, I'll just
Commissioner
mention,
Galvin.
as I'm understanding it, so there's a certain chunk of money that is available for the commissioners as a whole to use, and then the $100 a year is kind of per quarter is for like the paper, the printer ink, that kind of thing that can be focused on more specific SMD. Is that correct?
So actually there is a provision. The $100 is an extra provision that was put into place beyond paper and ink.
Okay.
So if someone wanted to, I'm going to use a bad example, but I'm going to put an example out there. If someone wanted to get a specific color of a pen, or if they wanted to get a specific sign printed, I wanted to make sure to allocate for that. If a commissioner had an idea of doing something not allocated for here in the supplies, that we were making a provision for that in the budget.
Got it.
But if you go through, I tried to estimate to the best of my ability based on a best estimate of our activities over the year, of how much paper we would need, how much ink we would even need.
Thank you.
one more time.
All right.
If I want to print my own newsletter or update for 5FO7, which I've always done, would I have to come to the center or to the PUD and print them there? Or are you telling me I cannot print a separate
I'm not
letter?
telling you that at all. I don't think. that's what I'm
Okay.
telling you. My understanding, and this is my understanding, so I'm happy to be corrected on it, is you've got a couple of options. You can print whatever you want out of your own pocket. That's always an option.
Out of my
You-
own pocket, what does that even mean to me? Out of my own pocket, when you're purchasing a printer and paper and whatever else with ANC funds.
I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay,
So that's always an option of doing stuff out of your own pocket. There's also an option of we want to get a printer with toner and ink that is essentially unlimited use for commission business and which I think includes SMD outreach.
okay,
And then the third option is the budget as Commissioner Anderson has presented it includes $100 per quarter on top of that for outreach expenses for each commissioner, which obviously there's some things we can't reimburse under law, but I think it's I think I read that as a very broad fund to pay for outreach expenses. So that's my understanding of this. And if I'm wrong on that, I'm happy to be corrected.
okay, well, all I want to do is print.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. Yep. I will real quick.
Commissioner Galvin.
Last thing is, I agree. If there are 1,000 copies that are made, then we will quickly go through all of our printer and ink. So we just need to be considerate with how we spend or how we use those resources so that we all have an opportunity to use them. That's all.
Or be there first.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We'll be there first.
all right. Commissioner Sonny, did you have something? Okay. Are there any let me ask this. Are there any amendments? Well, I don't want to just debate in circles. So,
Add some more money for printing,
okay.
because he just said 1,000 copies. I do 800 for my single member district alone, and it's 2 pages, double-sided.
What would you like? How much would you like to add to which line item?
Printing, I would be printing.
So I think, and apologies for everyone listening to this debate about paper, but it's important because you're tax dollars. 4,000 sheets is $40.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't want to debate until we perfect this amendment. I don't want to debate it. So,
Okay.
this is the 100 per quarter per commission you want to increase, or the kind of what fees ballpark for paper and toner for the common printer?
Either
Well,
one,
you gotta
as
pick one.
long as I can do what I need. to
I'm not
do.
making the motion, you're making the motion, so.
Oh, I'm
which one-
sorry.
Yeah, which one would you like to
Um,
do?
Increase the $5,000.
Where is the 5,000?
Office supplies, equipment, and print.
I am not seeing it. Which line item?
4.
All right, line item 4, which we reduced, so I think it's 1215 right now.
1215, yeah.
And to increase that to. Sorry, you said it, I didn't hear you. All right, yeah.
Okay, let's go back. Is the 1215 per commissioner?
No, that's the
commission?
total line item of everything.
1215.
Yeah.
1,200 or 12,015.
We do not have $12,000.
Oh.
Yeah.
You just said.
I wish we did. Yeah. No, I mean, I'll say this, I wish we were dealing with $48,000, we're dealing with $4,800 to start with, so. And then that amount of an allotment, so. The common printer, is that like, you want more toner and paper? Is that what you're?
Have what? I didn't hear you.
You want more toner and paper? Is that what you're? saying?
Yes,
Okay.
that's all I'm talking about when I say printing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the printer paper, which is a bunch of line items down here, 140, 160, 160. Is that right, Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Okay. And I cut you off. Well, okay. So you've moved to increase
Printer paper.
that line item,
Yeah.
which is currently, not really sure, a couple $100 to. Did you have a number you wanted to increase it to?
Well, based on my my count for my single member district, we could kick in another 1,000 because the new commissioners don't really know what they would need when it comes to printing until they try passing out
Okay.
their,
All right,
their
Commissioner,
updated newsletters.
Commissioner Pinckney moves to increase the item designated for printer paper and toner
Yeah, because you
by
have to have a quorum.
$1,000. Is that
Okay.
accurate?
Yes,
Okay,
that'll
that is
do.
Commissioner Pinckney's motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Williams. Is there objection? Seeing none, the budget is amended accordingly.
Thank you.
Are there further amendments?
Just add one quick note is that
Commissioner
on our digital survey, we also added an option for people to print out, to opt out of printed materials. So if that is something that you do not want, please let us know through the survey so that we do not deliver printed materials to your house.
All right, further amendments. Seeing none, the chair will entertain anyone making a motion to adopt the budget as amended. From someone?
I move to
Sorry.
adopt the budget as amended.
Commissioner Sani so moves. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. And Commissioner Anderson, if you could call the roll.
All right, Commissioner Anderson votes yes. Commissioner Bishop Henchman,
Aye.
Commissioner Galvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst,
Aye.
Commissioner Pinckney,
Aye.
Commissioner Sani,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams. Unanimous vote.
7 yes, 0 no. It is adopted. Moving to item B. And I am the sponsor. I think that was bold, right?
Yes.
I am the sponsor, so I need to relinquish the chair. Mr. Anderson, are you planning on speaking on this?
No.
Okay, so would you mind acting as chair on this one?
Okay. Like to begin discussion on item B, resolution supporting budget requests for Metropolitan Branch Trail and improvements. I recognize Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
So Councilmember Parker has submitted a budget request to the mayor asking for $4 million of improvements to the Metropolitan Branch Trail. We all heard Ms. Summer earlier read the list of those suggested and recommended improvements, which have been endorsed by Eckington Parks and Arts and the Eckington Civic Association, and separate letter by Noma Bid. We're bringing up the rear here on ANC 5F. We're joining something that's been pretty well perfected and is in front of the mayor, and I'm hopeful that adding our support will get it into the mayor's budget, and maybe we can have some really essential safety and aesthetic and greenery improvements to the spine of ANC 5F. And I've seen vehicles on the trail. It's important that we add bollards and planters to prevent that from happening. The sidewalk leading from T Street ends and not in the poetic Shel Silverstein way, but it'd be nice to build a connection that completes that. We also have a number of high use segments such as down in Noma to complete. And I know there is a dream, which we should at least start studying, of building a connection from the trail to New York Avenue above where the substation is, the former Pepco substation. So I'm very excited about all of this. I know many of you are who co-sponsored it. So I welcome any questions or amendments. Back to you, Commissioner Anderson.
Oh,
Yeah.
Are there any comments from other commissioners? With none noted, shall we move to the vote?
I will move to
Oh,
adopt.
sorry, you vote.
I will move to adopt the resolution then.
Are there any seconds?
A second.
Excellent. We'll move into a roll call vote. Commissioner Anderson votes yes. Commissioner Bishop Henchman,
Aye.
Commissioner Galvin,
So I am recusing myself. I am going to, not because I don't support it, but because it's, I know who wrote the letter and I have a close relationship with that person, so I'm recusing myself from that.
excellent.
So
I'm going to mark that as a
abstain.
abstain. Commissioner Hurst.
Aye.
Commissioner Pinckney,
Aye.
Commissioner Sani,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams. Okay, so that is a 5-0 to 2.
Passes.
And it passes. Okay, I hand back the gavel to Chair Bishop Henchman.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. So item J, resolution supporting budget request for community pocket parks is our next item, and I recognize the sponsor, Commissioner Anderson.
I would like to add a friendly amendment to the resolution. So in the I would like to add a line referencing the comprehensive plan. So the text would read, whereas the DC comprehensive plan states encourage preservation and improvement of existing green spaces in Eckington, identify new opportunities for additional public green space and tree planting throughout the neighborhood and along the Metropolitan Branch Trail, including additional pocket parks. Don't worry, Secretary Galvin,
Yeah,
I will
could
send
you
that.
please send the text to the secretary?
It is a specific quote from the comprehensive plan that advocates for the additional green spaces in Eckington, including specifically pocket parks. And then I would also like to add in the resolved section, 2 lines specifically mentioning items that are happening within our commission. So a line such as, be it further resolved that ANC 5F support inclusion of funding in the mayor's budget for the acquisition of a vacant lot in SMD 5F05 on Rear Summit Place Northeast, that residents have advocated for the conversion to a community park. And then be it further resolved that ANC 5F support community initiatives to increase green spaces in the commission area.
All right, so I couldn't write all those down. I'm sure everybody else did though. So Commissioner Anderson has moved those amendments. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hurst. Is there objection to those amendments? Seeing none, those are amended. I will add an amendment since we pulled this off the consent calendar. Commissioner Anderson, would you mind if I am added as a co-sponsor to this resolution?
I'd be happy for you to be add this.
Okay. Do you want to be co-sponsor on this, the pocket park?
Well, yeah.
Okay. And all right, so there's a proposed amendment. Anyone else? Let me know. To add Commissioner Bishop Henchman and Commissioner Pinckney as co-sponsors of the resolution. And Commissioner Galvan. Make it a full pass. All right, any objection to that amendment? Seeing none, it is amended. Further amendments or debate? Seeing none, sorry. Sorry, I heard lips smacking and. All right. Seeing none, the question is automatically called. The vice chair could please call the roll.
Great, Commissioner Anderson votes yes. Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
Aye.
Commissioner Galvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst.
Aye.
Commissioner Pinckney. Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
All right, 7-0-0. Motion passes.
Pass. I believe that concludes the action agenda. Next item is other reports and presentations, 10 minutes per item. And the first one we have is from the Office of Campaign Finance on traditional and public fair finance. I think they may be, I don't think they're in the room, they may be online. If somebody could check online to see if they're raising their hand or unmuting themselves, or let me get the name. That sound like somebody?
I am here.
You are here.
I am.
Ms. Perry, right?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Perry, you are
Anxiously waiting. How are you?
You are recognized for 10 minutes. Go right ahead.
Thank you so much. Good evening, all. I will be brief and concise and quick, but I will hopefully answer all the questions and fill in all the gaps. By now, most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the programs that the Office of Campaign Finance has rolled out for the past couple of years. We have completed a full election cycle very successfully. It is now the majority of candidates that are running in DC are publicly financed. Last election cycle, we had a total of 52 candidates that participated in the program. So just a little history, which you're probably all familiar with, but a generalization. In 2018, the Office of Campaign Finance went around the states, particularly New York and Connecticut, and looked at some of the model programs for public financing. And they came up with the input from the city council to achieve a 100% publicly financed program that gives a dollar amount payout in the amount of 5 to 1. The reasons that the District of Columbia went this route, because it is a very progressive way to finance. It is a way that allows dark money or large corporate money to stay out of elections. It allows people to be connected to their constituents. It removes them from the burden of having to reach out to corporations, and it allows them to address the issues of the community, which you, of all people, I'm sure, can appreciate how genuine it is, because it allows a diverse pool. It allows people that are not entrenched in the system traditionally to be the voice of their community. As a result, the program was implemented and fully funded on my birthday, November 7th, 2018. And we're happy to say that it is very transparent and extremely successful. If you go to our website, you will see a robust report of everything that goes on, and you will also see safeguards where the monies are audited, and that relates to every single candidate, every single case that comes through. Every dollar that's issued is audited, unlike in the traditional program. So just an overview to give you an idea. The public finance program in the District of Columbia, it has reporting requirements. So individuals are mandated to report on certain dates, and then there's optional dates to report them. In addition, they are responsible for conducting debates. So again, you have hand-in-hand participation by the candidate and the community. Anyone that runs in a contested race must participate in the debate process. They cannot opt out. They can only opt out if there's no other contestable candidate, or no contested race, I should say. So if someone wants to be in the program, they have to commit to not take money from large corporations. They're not allowed to take money from any PACs. They are not allowed to take over a threshold amount. So there is an established set rate. For instance, for mayor, the contributions are limited to $200. For Attorney General, the contributions are limited to $200. For Council Chairman, again, a $200 contribution. For at-large council, the limit is $100 contribution. For a ward member and an at-large state board of education, the contribution is limited to $50. And for a ward state board of education member, the contribution is limited to $20. In addition, in order to become certified under the program and to be entitled to receive a payout of $5 for every $1, that individual that's running has to have a threshold amount of money. And that threshold amount of money entitles them to be certified. So that means they need a certain amount of qualified voters in order to get in the race. Once they reach that threshold amount, they are then entitled to a base payment. And that payout is given to any individual, again, that's in a contested race. So, for example, the payout for a mayoral race is $160,000. Once they reach the threshold amount of their contributions of the necessary amount of people, they are then entitled to a lump sum payout of $160,000. It's $40,000 for the Attorney General. It's $40,000 for the office of council chair and for a ward member, and $10,000 for the State Board of Education member. In addition, that limitations are put on the overall payout by the council, and that is calculated based on 100% of the proceeds of previous races for the cycles before the existing race. So last cycle for 2022, the payout for mayor, the cap, in other words, was $3,544,475. For council chair, it was $616,222. For attorney general, it was $825,633. And for at-large council member, it was $333,394. For ward member, the cap for payout was $233,384. And for ward, for Board of Education, the total cap payout was $33,294. So that cap is revisited with every election cycle, and it's a combination of the expenditures, of the average expenditures of the winning candidates in the prior 4 elections. And that is a statutory mandate that is devised by the City Council. So again, all of the components of this program are placed on the website. All reporting of disbursements is put on the website. All audit findings are put on the website. All interpretive opinions that are generated by the Office of the Attorney General in the Office of Campaign Finance is put on the website. The office hopes to be and has been and is improving and trying to always stay connected to the campaign candidates to guide them through the process. This is a new program, relatively speaking. We've only had 1 full election. Next year would be the 2nd one. So we are working together. It is an open door policy where people can come and ask questions, receive questions. We also give them training prior to entering into the program to alert them to the reporting requirements. Again, the reporting requirements are all published on the website. So we do open our doors. We welcome you to spread the word to your constituents who may be interested in running, and hope that this is a robust program that they will take advantage of and avail themselves to become participants in the process of being political and being able to do so with an advantage and a jump start. And so with that, I invite you to ask any questions, and hopefully I'll have the answer. And if not, I will consult, get back to you as soon as I can.
Thank you, Ms. Perry, and thank you for everything OCF does. I think all the commissioners certainly interact with OCF, and we appreciate how easy to use the resources are that your office provides. I think we have 1 minute for questions. Let me ask one, and then I'll see if anybody else has one.
Right.
There's 15, 20 people in the room and 24 people on the call. I'm sure between all of that, there's somebody who's planning on running for one of those offices in 2 years. How do they find out more about this program?
To find out more, again, I suggest you go on the Office of Campaign Finance website. It is a very comprehensive website. And as you know, all websites are multifaceted. So I would suggest click every button, turn every page, call the Office of Campaign Finance. I'm available to talk to personally. Again, we have training sessions, and we also come into the communities at various times. In addition to appearing at ANC committee meetings, we also do public service training and informational sessions at the public libraries. So that would be posted on our website as well. But the contact person to our office for purposes of records and management is Wesley Williams, who's been with the office for an extremely long time. I have been with the Office of Campaign Finance. I started as a policy analyst in the Fair Elections program when it's first rolled out to build it up. And since it's now on track, I've transferred over to the legal department for the enforcement component of it. But again, I'm welcome to join anybody that's interested in running and help them navigate the process. But the actual website is fairly good. There's a nuts and bolts brochure that is entitled Public Financing. I'm gonna just hold it up so you can recognize this actual document. It is on the website. And so everything I said is broken down there in a very concise manner. And it tells you exactly what the obligations are. But again, think of it as small donor contributions. So small donor contributions, minimum amount of, capped amount of $200 to $50 for award, $200 for mayor, and then the requisite number of actual donations. Once you meet that threshold, then every dollar that you get is matched 5 to 1. So think of it that way, a 5 to 1 match, but which demonstrates that you're committed, demonstrates that you're a viable candidate, and then that allows you to collect the base payment, which again is a pretty substantial sum for purposes of running in elections in a jurisdiction this size. And I've also conducted, on our first full campaign, I conducted a statewide search, and there's 33, well, 2 years ago, there were 33 jurisdictions with similar programs. And ours is one of the purest programs, because sometimes there's a hybrid of public funds, tax-based funds, different components, and we have a straight match by the government. So it's a very, very good program.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. That's time on the item, but we will, if you send us the link to the brochure, we'll make sure we include that in the minutes and send that
Very
out.
well.
Thank you.
You're
The next
welcome.
item, oh, thank you. The next item we have is Ashley Wells from the DC Smart Street Lighting Project. Ms. Wells, are you here or online?
I'm
She's
online.
Okay, go right ahead. You're recognized.
Thank you. I just have a short presentation to share with you all. Let's see.
And just for people in the room, that is on the website, and then there are some paper copies over by Mr. Clark if you want to follow along. So go right ahead as well.
Thank you. So I'm also here with Elise Ballard. She'll be here to help with any questions you may have, but this is for the DC Smart Street Lighting Project. And what we're doing with this project is we're going to modernize over 72,000 streetlights in the district. So that'll be just about every street light out there. And what we're doing is we're converting the lights to LED technology. And I'm not sure if you're aware, LED technology is more efficient than what we have right now. It's going to help reduce the energy consumption. As you see, it eliminates 38,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions. So in addition to the streetlight installations over on Ward 7 and 8, we will be adding some access points for some wireless capabilities over there. So for our project timeline, pretty much prep work, all the back end stuff is taking place beginning in May 2022. Right now, we are in Q1 2023, where we have our rehabilitation phase. So pretty much maybe a small repair here or there, but getting the streetlights ready for the conversions. And then we're going into that conversion phase as well, which is when we'll actually be out there replacing the streetlights. So you'll see more trucks out getting their streetlights installed. And then we have our asset management. So for our asset management, that's just the maintenance phase, which is going to take place from 2037. Again, we've done those small repairs, so it's just 2022 here, but the full maintenance is going to take place obviously once the streetlights are installed. Oops. So we have our design and construction phase. We're beginning with wards 5, 7, and 8. Those will be the first wards. And then we're going to move into group 2, which is going to be our 4, 3, and 2. And then we'll have wards 1 and 6 coming up last. And the way that this works is we have the ANCs, and then they're split into bundles. They're doing 5 bundles per ANC, and we need to get in and out within 14 days. So we shouldn't be there too long, not too disruptive.
Sorry, skipping ahead a little bit. Do you happen to know when the 5F dates are scheduled? If they've been scheduled yet?
No.
Okay.
So I'm not aware, at least we have some additional information in terms of schedule. So we can come back to that when we get there.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
It's like I said, asset management, that's just our streetlight maintenance phase. Again, it's going to begin pretty much once a new streetlight's in, then it's in asset management. So if it needs maintenance and it just got installed a week ago, which should not be the case, but if it did, we'll be there to cover that and make sure that it gets replaced, and it should be timely. I forgot to mention, with the installation of the street lights, there's the wireless monitoring capability. So we'll also be able to see that if a street light's out, instead of just waiting for 311, there's the possibility that we see that and we can get out there before someone has to do a bunch of calls start coming in for that replacement. So what we're doing now is we're doing our outreach and engagement. We want to notify ANCs at least 45 days prior to the start of work that will be out there. And then 7 days prior, we're going to begin leaving our door hangers and information cards. And then 72 hours prior to start, you'll see those emergency no parking signs going up.
And just to clarify, that's not what you're doing here tonight, right? You're not telling us 45 days or 7 days or 72 hours. That's still yet to
No,
come.
we just want to make sure that
yeah.
you all are aware. So that way, if it starts to happen, that you've been made aware.
Thank you.
So we have a website. Our website is streetlights.dc.gov. You can scan the QR code here. And then if you do have any additional questions after this is over, you can send them to info@dcsmartstreetlights.com. We do have a press email. I don't believe there's press in the room, but that's press@dcsmartstreetlights.com. And that is all.
Thank you, Ms. Weld. Any questions from any commissioners on this item?
What color
Ms. Pinky?
are the lights going to be? Soft white or that piercing blue? Because there was a big discussion about that.
Yeah, I do.
The lights are.
Oh, no, I have Elise on the line. She's from our technical team. Elise, do you want to take that?
Sure. I'm probably not, you say I'm from the technical team, but I'm probably not going to answer this in a super technical way tonight, but I'm not familiar with any piercing blue. We've demonstrated a number of our fixtures for DDOT and they've all been approved in the field. So other than just doing like regular cut sheets and submittals, we've also brought out samples and installed them. So I would expect, soft white in probably neighborhoods and then maybe the brighter fixtures in the more urban areas. But I'm not familiar with anything blue or anything like that.
There's a light that's so white it looks blue. It's out by Pentagon City. They have new lights out there that look a little strange. Okay, thank you.
I think that's time on this item. Thank you, Ms. Wells, and we'll be sure to include your presentation with the materials in the minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next presentation is from Jared Kahn and Sam Swiller of SK Investments. Are they? Here you are. You're recognized.
We had some slides. I don't know which will be on the TV.
Everybody either has them in front of them on the screen or on paper.
Okay, great. I did make the error of adding some information.
Okay, well, we'll have to circulate that. Go
Great.
right ahead.
How's everybody doing? Great. I'm Sam Swiller. This is Jared Kahn. We are SK Investments. It's literally just us two. Even though it sounds, I like it sounds impossible. We're here to talk about 701 Michigan, which we have under contract, but would like to submit an application later this week to amend the zoning. And this is really very early in the process. In fact, I haven't memorized all my talking points. But what we essentially want to do is take the current zoning, which is MU3A, and change it to MU2. We're expecting this to take 6 to 8 months. So really we see this as the start of a long conversation, where we ultimately hope to secure your approval before we meet with the zoning commission. So really tonight, we just want to introduce ourselves and to introduce the project. We've been doing a lot of groundwork, meeting the community. We've met with Baru. We last night met with the Edgewood Civic Association. Tomorrow, we hope to meet with the Brooklyn Civic Association. And on March 22nd.
Yeah, you're right there in the middle of all of them.
Yeah, we have a lot of neighbors. We plan to meet with ANC 5A at their next meeting on March 22nd.
We've spoken with Catholic University as well as the Bennett Institute, which are our immediate neighbors. So we're really want to gather as much input as we can from the community as we go through this project. That's the first thing. So on the second slide is really just the location specific, but it's just some things to note. This is square 3657. It has two lots, 11 and 830. The total land area is just under 19,000 square feet. Currently, it's a one-story building. It used to be a Pizza Hut. More recently, it was the Bennett Institute's daycare center. Their lease expired and they decided to pull that operation into their building. We're in late stage negotiations to put in a new daycare operator, but our hope is to keep the site active. But as of now, it is vacant. It's kind of hard to do it without the map in front of me, but there's the third slide kind of talks about the context around the site. As you can see, there's a lot of new mixed use residential buildings. A lot of these buildings came up through the PUD process back when the map amendment was well, before the map amendment was recently changed. It went from moderate density to medium density. So we're pursuing something that's within the envelope of what the comprehensive plan calls for. All the things I would like to point out is we're 150 feet from the metro. Super excited about that. We're just a little bit further from the Metro Branch Trail. So we think this is a very walkable and easily accessible site. With that, I'll turn it over.
Awesome, thank you. And hi, everybody. Thanks for your time and giving us a slot. So I'll just jump in. I think we're on slide 5. Ooh, 4? Okay, thanks. Yeah, so this one's a little bit about the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. It's the Office of Planning's tools to guide zoning and development in the city and certain uses. So in 2021, the Office of Planning wrapped up a very long process that took years, but it was amended and updated with their recommendations. So we're pursuing a map amendment to implement their changes to make it consistent on our site. There hasn't been, as you can see, much of anything done to this site in quite some time. So that's really our plan, is to bring it and make it cohesive with that plan. It was changed, as Sam pointed out, from mixed use now to medium density commercial and medium density residential from moderate. It's important to explain one little planning nuance. So even though the comp plan was amended and accepted, it doesn't change the actual zoning. The zoning commission does that. That's why we have to go through this process. Yeah, so that's really slide 4. If we can go to slide 5. The proposed MU2 zone is basically a mix of uses and density. It is consistent with the guidance of the comp plan. It falls under the medium density designation. The comp plan provides the areas with a medium density mix that typically have a matter of right densities of around 6 in FAR, but that greater density is permitted through bonus density or IZ regulations. So enhanced IZ is a tool that Office of Planning is also enacted. It promotes, I think, a major goal of the city, which is more affordable housing. And that includes 20% of the residential area that gets built eventually on the site. So going back to the slides, as you can see from the table, it allows a myriad of different types of uses contemplated by the comp plan. And it also limits non-residential square footage that can be built on the site. So just want to point that out. The MU2 zone is a good zone for the site because of that. And the types of non-residential uses that are permitted, we think will complement the surrounding uses and it can include daycare, center, arts and design uses, an art gallery, a museum, and a trade school. As we know, the Arts Walk is adjacent to us, so there could be some connectivity at some point. This would allow that a little bit easier. As I was pointing out earlier, since it will be subject to IZ plus, it means the IZ requirement for any future development on the site would be 20% of all residential square footage is subject to inclusionary zoning. So jump to slide 6 and 7. To talk about general height and massing of ME2 zoning. So this is just an example of showing ME2 is how it's compatible with what's been built already around the site. So that there's other buildings that are 70 feet with certain embellishments that take them higher. This slide is not our proposed development, it's just an illustration. And then really just wrap up this. There's on slide 8, there's a view along Michigan Avenue, just showing general alignment of the buildings along the street and how yeah, thank you. It's a very wide street. So there's good scale, human scale with that.
So that's it. So we're here to take any questions, comments. We'd love to hear what the neighborhood wants and see how we can incorporate that.
Thank you. Maybe time for 1 or 2 questions. And I think we have your contact information if people want to know about, but just 1 or 2 questions.
That was one of the things.
Commissioner Pinckney.
Have you filed for your application? And if so, what is your hearing date?
Well, we were actually hoping to meet with you guys first, get a tenure of what's going on, and then we're planning to file by the end of this week.
Okay, I can't speak for 5F, but 5E, we always had the application and the hearing date in front of us so that we could see what zoning was telling you.
Got it. Yeah, we can do that. I'm sure that's more prevalent in the PUD process. This is just for a map amendment, so it's not quite the same level of details, but we can provide you the application.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Other commissioners?
I agree with Commissioner Pinckney.
I'm sorry,
I said I agree with Commissioner Pinckney.
okay, sure, absolutely.
Like to get the stats and everything in front of us.
Well, just so you know, this is a long process. We expect to be back here many times over the next 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
Oh, we're glad that you came before us for this. Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Where's the phone? Who has that? All right. Next item, we have Mr. Dyer from DPR, who is hosting us here today, and thank you for that.
Yes, excellent. I will keep the phone down there and hope everyone from home can hear me, because if I try to speak and hold the phone up to my face, we could become a viral sensation. So we're not gonna try that. So I am delighted to be here, and it's good to see a couple of people in person, including one of our actual DPR partners as well. Eckington is one of our most active partners, and we're very happy for that. So anyway, I'm Christopher Dyer. I'm the Community Engagement Manager for Department of Parks and Rec. We are here to present some basic information about us. Usually I do this with a nice PowerPoint presentation, but I'm going to wing it a little as we are more excited to be back in person. Also, all of you commissioners should have gotten an email from me at the beginning that has all the links that you can share. We highly encourage you to do that. So we have some websites. Obviously, we have dpr.dc.gov, which is kind of boring, but it's a nice start. If you're looking for an event that we do, go to dpr.events. That's where we put our special events that happen across the city. dprprograms.com. If you're going to bookmark any website in DPR, that's the one you want to go, because that's where we list all of our programs. In fact, we are going to be kicking off our spring program registration tomorrow at noon for all of aquatic programs. And then on March 2nd, you can apply and do and sign up for the rest of our fall programming or spring programming. Go to dprprograms.com, and if you scroll down to the bottom of the page and you want to find out, hey, what's going on at Edgewood, or hey, what's going on at Harry Thomas, it'll even actually link to the site as well, or you can just randomly search. But please take advantage of it, and good luck tomorrow if you're trying to get up for an aquatics program. It gets a little bit competitive, and we always are trying to continue to expand our services. So that's that. Also, dpr.dc.gov/locations, in case you are just, sitting at home and wondering, hey, where's a rec site over in Ward 7? You can go on there and search for our locations. It'll show you where we are across the city. Also, if you're thinking about hosting a special event at one of our sites, 9 times out of 10, you're going to need a permit. So go to dpr.dc.gov/permits, and it'll show you the entire process on how to apply. When I first started, I had a parent come up to me once in an event. It was wonderful. And I was bracing myself because, you never know in government when you have a resident who we love. But he said, my 5-year-old had the best day of his life, one of your events. He had a birthday party at one of your sites. It was so easy to get a permit, and he had the best day of his life. So as I say, if you want to have the best day of your life, consider using DPR as one of your sites. So I know you're smiling. Anyway, also, there's another interesting thing. I'd mentioned the fact that we have our spring program registration kickoff tomorrow. If you have a chance, go to dpr.dc.gov/capital, and this is all capital, DPR account, to make sure your RecTrack account is all square. You can also go to that site if you're looking to apply for reduced rate. We do have a reduced rate application process that's now available year round. Also, please get there and check this out, because in a couple of weeks, our crazy time starts and we start our summer camp registration process. Commissioners, I really love the support you guys are going to get us. I know that I flood your email box with a lot of, spam. Good information. If you're going to forward anything, if you can, please help us get the word out about our summer camp registration, because we're changing it up a bit for the better. And it's going to be really, really fun. I can't really, I'm teasing it, and I have to, because we can't release the information. But again, if you're not signed up for our email, if you're not signed up for your commissioner's email list, do so we can really help you get the word out, because it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a slight change in how we've done things. So that's my song and dance. I am open to answering questions. Also, commissioners, welcome. I was a commissioner in 2004 to 2009 in Logan. And I had such a great job working with you guys for the last year and a half that I thought, hell, I don't have enough meetings to community meetings. And so I too am an ANC commissioner representing Logan Circle. And welcome, guys. We're all new commissioners, but at least we have an established commission. So I really appreciate the work you're doing on behalf of the city. I am your basic moker for the agency and your point of contact. So please continue to gently poke me with a stick. And if you have any questions, I'll answer them. And if anyone from the audience, yes. So commissioners, whoever's chair, I'm sorry, you recognize me. Yes.
Very practical question. I think the staff wants to go home soon. So 10 more minutes?
Sure, no.
Will that work?
Yeah, no, I mean, the staff.
That
was
literally my question. Yeah.
If you need to keep going, yeah.
I know we want to hear from Ms. Jordan, and then.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you have to go, you go.
I just want to make sure that,
the staff is aware, and they're like, oh.
And we're extremely grateful. So.
They're like, oh, more.
That was my question.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Other questions for Mr. Dyer?
Okay,
Mr. Emerson.
super fast. There's a lot of parents that I'm in touch with, and there are never enough summer camp slots.
Nope.
Are there any more this summer? Is that what you're teasing? Because that would be great.
We do have some more sites, more camps.
More
We're also
sites?
more sites, more slots. We're also simplifying the options of we're also, we're making everything. We're doing some interesting stuff. But what I can tease is the registration process will be a little bit easier.
No.
And you might not have to wait and suddenly get online at 10 a.m. at noon on the 13th of March. And I'll leave it at that.
Good.
But no, it's going to be interesting. And, honestly, we got a good investment from the mayor to expand our, budget. One of the challenges we have is that there are only 70 rec sites across the city. So we are almost at full capacity at every site we do our summer camps. And, even I last summer got up and actually I was able to help hang out at a camp for about a day, which was kind of interesting. So we know it. We obviously, we're a great program. We really are hoping that parents can get in, and, please continue to try and don't give up on us.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we were just trying to get an estimate because we were.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
10 more minutes?
Thank you.
Thank you. Our apologies. All right, we'll conclude that with Mr. Dyer. Ms. Gordon, from Northeast Boundary Tunnel Project. I think you may have just heard, we're kind of under the gun here. It was possible to maybe do 5 minutes. And then I'm sure there'll be a further update on the project in future meetings, and we'll make sure you're at the top of the agenda for those. Would that be okay, Ms. Jordan?
Yeah, I can be flexible.
All right.
Would you
So
like me
take
to
it away.
share my screen?
Yes.
You should be able to do that now.
Fantastic. 1 second, please.
How do I get? Oh, she's right here. Okay, cool, great.
All right. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Thank you for the invitation. I'm the Senior Public Outreach Coordinator for DC Water's Northeast Boundary Tunnel Project. And so I will move through this quickly. Typically, what we do is give an update about the project, give an overview, because still, even after 5 years, there are people who don't understand what this project is about.
We want Bloomingdale to stop flooding, right?
Yes, we want Bloomingdale to stop flooding. And to do that, and we want Edgewood to stop flooding as well. So what we had to do is create a tunnel system and a diversion facilities that connect from the existing sewer system to and divert the flow that's captured when there's a large rain event. It diverts that flow to the tunnel. The Northeast Boundary Tunnel is the last component of the Anacostia River Tunnel System. It includes the First Street Tunnel as well. The Anacostia River Tunnel System is already in operation. As of January, it collected over 14 billion gallons of flow during rain events, and trash, 9,300 tons of trash. So the benefit of this tunnel system is that it will reduce the frequency of street flooding in areas where there is chronic floodings in the city, and it will reduce the amount of untreated combined sewer overflows that are released into our waterways in the city, which includes the Anacostia River, Rock Creek, and the Potomac River. We haven't started this Potomac River tunnel system yet. That gets started in a year or so. This is the Northeast Boundary Tunnel. We have 9 construction sites for this tunnel system. It starts just south of RFK Stadium, where it connects to the Anacostia River Tunnel. The tunnel itself has already been constructed. We finished doing that part of it. Now we're finishing off the diversion facilities at the various locations, including Rhode Island Avenue and at 4th Street Northeast. These blue squares highlight where there is chronic flooding in this area, and the tunnel aligns with those chronic flood areas. This is a page of resources available. I really encourage you to go to the DC Flood Task Force at dcfloodtaskforce.org. DC Water is a part of that force, and we work to create policies and projects to bolster flood readiness in the city. DC Water also has links to, if you go to dcwater.com/flooding, you'll get more information about customer service, claims, what to expect. You could get more information if you go to dcwater.com/on-tap, excuse me. That's a publication that gives more emergency preparedness information in this particular issue of the newsletter. If you are experiencing a water or sewer emergency, please contact the Emergency Command Center. You can call them at 202-612-3400, or send an email to command.center@dcwater.com. This
you.
is just,
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, keep going.
This is just to show you that we are getting close to getting this beast of a project finished. This is our final year for constructing the Northeast Boundary Tunnel. We expect to have it operating by the end of summer. We are working on the last portions of the diversion facilities. And so we expect to finish all of the sites by the end of summer and have the tunnel operating. So moving quickly to 4th Street Northeast, this is a map that shows the facility that we have completed constructing that is now under 4th Street Northeast. What we're doing now is restoration. That's why this says in the summer 2023. We are at the intersection of 4th and Rhode Island, where we're creating new ADA curb ramps at this southern intersection of 4th Street and Rhode Island Avenue. We are finishing the restoration of the medians, which we had to demolish to make way for traffic traffic lane shifts while we were working on 4th Street. We will come back in the spring and we will plant these 5 new trees and finish restoring the tree boxes in this area as well. To reopen it into a 2-way street, we have to finish restriping. So it's finished, as soon as we finish at the intersection of 4th and Rhode Island, then we'll come up to 4th Street and put the traffic lines in the street and the parking lanes, mark them up and put the bike lanes back on the street, and then we'll reopen. So there are a few things that have to happen. I've gone through that already for what we are still doing at 4th Street to complete the restoration. You did have a question about when will we return 3rd Street Northeast to a 2-way street. When we finish with 4th Street, then we'll return to 3rd Street and reopen it to 2-way traffic. We had to close a portion of that traffic and make it 1-way for a period while we were doing the construction. This was to allow the fire truck to enter into the community if there was an emergency. You had a question about Lincoln Road. This is Rhode Island Avenue, and then there's Lincoln Road. We've created for this project, we created a left turn lane on Rhode Island Avenue so that you can make a left turn onto Lincoln Road heading north. We have asked DDOT if we can leave this left turn lane in place, and they are still making a decision about that. I thought that they had made a decision already, but they're still reviewing it. And so we'll update you about the final decision about whether this left turn lane will remain. If they do say, for instance, that no, we want you to take that left turn lane away, then we have to reconstruct this median and replant the trees. I think that there were trees here, but we do need to reconstruct this median here as well.
Other force lines.
For Rhode Island Avenue, we expect to finish this in the summertime. If you remember, we did have a construction site in the median area of Rhode Island Avenue. We were constructing the diversion chamber, which actually connects to the existing sewer. We finished that portion of the work and we have paved over that portion of the roadway. And now we are just in this area here where we're working on the drop shaft and the approach channel. Also, to help with create some more relief to the flooding in the area, we're constructing inlets in the road. So on The south side of Rhode Island Avenue, or another way to say that is in the eastbound lane of Rhode Island Avenue, we've completed the construction of 3 inlets here. And now we are on the north side of Rhode Island Avenue, or the westbound lane. We are preparing to construct a rather large inlet in this area. And so we expect to begin the work for that next week. We are just waiting for DDOT to approve. Let me skip this first.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Miss Jordan. We're gonna get kicked out of here in about 30 seconds. So
Okay.
thank you so much for this. I see you have a lot of great information on the slides, but I think we're gonna have to move on. But thank you so much.
And I know there's going to be further updates through until the summer when this project's completed, and we'll be sure to have you back and at the top of the agenda.
Yes, invite me anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And if you could send me those slides again, and we'll make sure we send those out to everybody.
I sure will.
Oh, you have them? Okay, we do have them. So, all right.
Okay.
Thank you. That
Thank you.
concludes 14 other reports and presentations. Item 15 is appointment to committees or task forces. And it was noticed to fill the chair of our Public Safety, Health and Community Engagement Committee. And we'll do that now. So I'll open up nominations to that.
I'd like to self-nominate.
Commissioner Galvan nominates himself. Nominations don't need to be seconded.
Thank you, John.
Are there further nominations? Seeing none, if somebody could move to close nominations. Move to close nominations from Commissioner Sani. Is there a second? Seconded from Commissioner Williams. Is there any objection? Seeing none, nominations are closed. There's one name on the ballot, but we still have to vote on it. And
Okay.
I think we gotta do it by roll call. So it's Galvan. Well, you can vote for whatever you want, but Galvan is the one that's nominated.
Commissioner Anderson votes yes for Galvin.
Yes.
Bishop Hedgeman,
Galvan.
Galvin,
Yes.
Hurst,
Yes.
Pinckney,
Yes.
Sani,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
7.
Adopted. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair of the committee.
All
Next
that.
item is announcements. Commissioner Pinckney.
I do have one.
Oh,
I don't remember this entire thing, but it's something about if the creek don't rise. Anybody who has an automobile in Washington DC, you can expect that street cleaning starts tomorrow morning. So unless the creek rises and you can't move your car, you better be gone.
Good to know.
Thank you, Commissioner Pinckney. Commissioner, did you have anything further?
Pardon?
Did you have anything further?
No.
Okay, Commissioner Anderson.
There's a DDOT notice for residential space and 2 SMDs. Please check them out and let us know if you have any objections. Move.
Commissioner Sani.
Nope, I made them earlier, so.
So for me, I've been asked to share that tomorrow, the PK 3 through grade 8 lottery deadline is tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. So don't miss it if you're doing it. And then the former Wendy's, the raise as in RAZE demolition permit has been filed. So more on that soon. Commissioner Galvan.
Nothing.
Commissioner Hurst.
No.
Commissioner Williams. Any
Any
announcements?
I'm hungry.
Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Commissioner Galvan, seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Is there any objection? Without objections, we are adjourned. Our next meeting is March 28th. See you all then.
Thank you.
Thank you.